All right, good afternoon. We all ready to go? Yep. All right. So this incident started on Thursday, February 14th at approximately 5:03 p.m. when plainclothes Santa Clara County Sheriff's deputies, driving an unmarked vehicle assigned to the Transit Patrol Division, located a suspicious black SUV parked illegally at the Chynoweth Light Rail Station located at 900 Chynoweth Avenue in San Jose. The SUV was occupied by an adult male driver and adult female passenger. One of the deputies approached the suspect's car on foot with a badge displayed and visible. The male suspect recognized the deputies as law enforcement officers. The SUV fled upon seeing the deputies. Deputies spotted the suspect's vehicle on a nearby street after an initial search when the female suspect out of the car fired one round from a shotgun, striking the deputy's vehicle. A vehicle pursuit then ensued. It was later determined that the SUV had an unreported stolen license plates on it. During the pursuit, the female suspect pointed a shotgun out the window at pursuing deputies and fired at them at least 3 more times. Several rounds struck the sheriff's vehicle. Deputies were not injured and did not return fire. Deputies lost sight of the SUV as it drove the wrong way on Highway 87. Deputies requested emergency assistance from the San Jose Police Department. San Jose Air 3 joined and ground units also and located the SUV. The SUV exited eastbound Kirtner Avenue onto westbound Winnipole Loop, where the suspects abandoned the SUV and encountered a UPS driver walking in the area. The suspects forced the driver at gunpoint to enter his truck and drive the suspects away from the area. The suspects fled in the UPS truck with the UPS driver driving the vehicle. At this time, San Jose police officers joined the sheriff's deputies in the pursuit. The UPS truck drove north on Highway 87, where deputies deployed spike strips and disabled several tires. The UPS truck continued on Highway 87 and took the Skyport Drive exit onto North 1st Street, where the truck stopped in the 2500 block of North 1st Street. The female suspect exited the truck and was taken into custody without incident. Sometime later, the male suspect released the UPS driver. San Jose Police Department merge officers, Air 3, and hostage negotiators responded to the scene along with the sheriff's emergency response team and hostage negotiators. Negotiators established brief telephone contact with the suspect in an attempt to get him to surrender peacefully. At approximately 6:59 p.m., the male suspect started the truck and moved it forward several feet. Deputies and San Jose police officers used 2 armored vehicles in an attempt to block the suspect's vehicle from fleeing. When the armored vehicles approached the UPS truck, the suspect fled on foot into an adjacent parking lot carrying the loaded shotgun towards officers and civilians. A San Jose patrol officer assigned to a perimeter position discharged his firearm in defense of his life and others in the immediate area. The suspect was struck at least once. On-scene personnel attempted life-saving efforts on the suspect. However, he was pronounced deceased at the scene. No law enforcement officers or civilians were injured during this incident. The female suspect was booked into the Santa Clara County Jail for attempted murder of a police officer, carjacking, kidnapping, and shooting at an occupied vehicle. The San Jose police officer involved in the shooting was placed on routine paid administrative leave. The Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office and the San Jose Police Department Homicide Unit are conducting a joint criminal investigation. The case is being monitored by the San Jose Police Department's Internal Affairs Unit, the City Attorney's Office, and the Office of the Independent Police Auditor. You know, before I open it up to questions, let me say that any OIS is tragic. But I will say in this particular case, it didn't end as peacefully as we would have wanted. But I will tell you that no officers or civilians were injured by an armed and desperate violent felon. I got to talk about the heroic, brave actions of the sheriff's deputies in the relevant pursuit. It's another example that nothing is routine on this job. Going out to give someone a parking ticket to then only to be later on fired upon 4 separate times. You know, they stayed in the fight until the very end, and they make every law enforcement officer proud today. Talk about, you know, this was the epitome of teamwork with the Sheriff's Department and the San Jose PD. And I can't tell you, we talk often about the benefits of having air units. There were periods in this pursuit that had it not been for Air 3 and the air support we had, that we may not have been able to catch the suspect. And we would have lost this violent armed felon. You know, and I got to talk about the UPS driver. This guy's amazing. I really need to give him an application or something when this is done. The things that he did, not only to keep himself safe, but to help us capture this violent felon, were amazing. And you know what? I tell you what, UPS should be proud of that guy today as well. And I will tell you on the suspect's history, he was on parole. He was actually on parole for almost the very exact same thing that he lost his life for yesterday. He was on parole for carjacking and robbery. I'll give you the usual information here. Our officer involved, 12 years on. His body-worn camera was activated as well. With that, I'll open up some questions. Yes? A lot of good stuff. No, he was, he did things that I just don't even understand how calm, cool, and collected. I've seen the video. I've seen our Air 3 video of this incident. It's pretty plain as day. UPS driver's out. He gets confronted by the male and the female with the armed shotgun, taken into his car, and the calmness by which he drives. He purposely drove over the spike strips. They wanted him to drive faster, and he lied and told them that the UPS truck had a governor and it couldn't go over 50 miles an hour because he didn't want the police to lose the truck. I mean, the things this guy did, I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff. And again, that guy should make UPS all over the country proud, or all over the world proud today as well, because he definitely saved lives, including his own.
So he was behind the wheel. He was actively taking the steps, not coordinating with you guys, but doing things that enabled you to keep in contact and catch the time.
That's exactly what he did. He was calm, used common sense. When you're sitting there with a shotgun, and under gun, having people tell you where to go, how to drive, and he was calm, he was cool, did really well.
Do you have any training in the background you know of?
Well, I would like him to get training in our academy at some point, but no, I don't know that he has any training whatsoever. I think he just used common sense, and I think, it's just, you can't, honestly, what he did, you can't train. You can train your entire life or something like that, but when you are accosted, taken at gunpoint, and made drive somewhere, something that comes out of the movies, you can't train for that calmness that man had.
What about the officer who fired the shot? Tell me about how that happened. The suspect is running in the shotgun. The officer is where?
Well, again, I can't speak enough about our officers' actions as well with regards to, there's a lot of discipline that comes in this job. And you know what? Oftentimes taking a perimeter position to ensure that an individual doesn't get outside a perimeter, especially this violent, armed felon to get out of perimeter position, sometimes can get mundane. And certainly this officer did his duty. He absolutely did what he is trained to do with holding that perimeter position. And unfortunately forced to fire upon the suspect when he didn't surrender peacefully.
What else can you tell us about the female accomplice?
Well, other than we strongly believe she was the one that shot at least the 4 times at the pursuing deputies. She doesn't have a very extensive history at all. So she's got some arrests for possession and some other things, but nothing major.
One weapon, it was a shotgun that she was using to fire on the deputy?
It was a shotgun, had an extended tube, so it's capable of firing multiple rounds before you reload. As I mentioned before, when the suspect was, finally stopped, that shotgun was still loaded with at least, I believe, at least 3 rounds in it.
Is there a picture of that weapon, Chief?
I'm sure we'll put out a picture of it at some point.
Was it a pump shotgun?
I believe it was a pump shotgun. Yeah. What's that? We'll put that information out later.
At what point, when you mentioned the suspect running toward officers and civilians, did the officer who opened fire, was he looking at him straight on from an angle? Where exactly was he positioned?
I don't know exactly the particular angle he was at. I know he was running towards the officer, but I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what angle that he was at.
The officer was facing the suspect at some point, even at a distance.
Yes, at some point he was facing the suspect.
Did you get command, stop, drop the weapon, that whole kind of thing?
That I don't know if the officer did that. I would, this entire situation, I mean, it was clear, this individual, it was clear that he should not have been running away from that scene with a loaded shotgun. So I don't know if the officer did that. But I'll tell you, I mean, again, it was clear that the police wanted him to surrender, and it was clear that he did not want to surrender, and ran towards officers with a loaded shotgun. That's not going to end well for anybody.
Is there any claims from from friends of the suspect who were at the scene saying he was trying to surrender or that had been contacted with him?
Well, Robert, I'll tell you, I mean, we don't know the specifics of it, but that's got to be probably the most peculiar way to surrender, if that's what he was trying to do. I'm not, you know, in the end, I don't know exactly what he wanted to do, what he was trying to do. All we can go by is the actions that occurred at that point, and that certainly is not the way to surrender.
But during your brief, but you mentioned brief contact with him. At no point during that brief contact did he voice any intent that he wanted to give up or anything along those lines?
I don't have that information just yet, but again, he had plenty of opportunities to do that. I mean, at this point, he was alone in the UPS truck. The female wasn't there. The UPS driver wasn't there. He had every opportunity to give up peacefully, and he chose not to.
What more can you tell us about the UPS driver? His age, how long he's been working for the company, just anything that gives us a little window into how he was able to be so, calm and collected and smart in that situation.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know you guys are all good at what you do. I got to respect the man's privacy. I'm not going to go in too much on all I can tell you what his actions were that day. It's definitely worth somebody following up. I know that he is more than likely going to get our award from our major awards at the end of the year. But I can't talk about how calm he was throughout this entire ordeal, throughout the investigation, throughout everything. And when you're able to put what he says to what you're seeing on camera, whether it be the feed from our air support, I can't speak enough about the UPS driver. I mean, he was fantastic.
How long had this suspect been on parole?
Well, he was convicted. For the best of our knowledge at this point, he was convicted actually of a robbery, an armed robbery, separate carjacking, and possession of methamphetamine. And believe he was sentenced to 5 years, served 4 in 2012, and been on parole and was on active parole. Another armed violent felon.
Chief, are you guys planning to release any of the body camera video, any of the video from the chopper from yesterday? Is there a timeline for that?
I'm working very close with DA Rosen with it. We have a process in place, and the district attorney does their investigation and then ultimately does put some out. We have spoken about officer-involved shootings. The district attorney absolutely knows how sensitive they are. He's actually looking at steps to actually try to, not trying, but expediting the process as quickly as possible to get that out. And in the end, the district attorney will put out information that they use to whether to make their filing decision or not. I'm sorry? Not at this time. The coroner's office will give that official statement, but I know the suspect's family has been, identifying him, but we can't put officially out who he is until the coroner's office is. At this point, we're just putting out at least one, but that's generally how much. There weren't the officer did not fire multiple rounds, but there was at least one fired by that officer.
It was just that officer who fired.
Yes.
Patrol.
He's a patrol officer. Yes. Anything else? Well, good? Okay, thank you.